Okay guys, welcome back to a brand new video. My name's Daggett, this is Daggett Designs. In today's video we're drawing a traditional style rose on the iPad Pro. I'm going to be using a sketch lead and I'm also going to be sketching in red just for clarity's sake. So to start this one off, we're going to do a bit of an oval shape. This is going to be the center of our rose. Now I like to make it more of an egg shape, so I just like to widen that bottom part out a little bit and have the top a little bit more pointy. Now for the center portion of the rose, I'm just going to draw it in this little oval for now. That's going to mark out the center. And now I'm going to do some foldovers. So the first one I like to do is straight across diagonally, roughly in the center of our oval. Starting at the bottom, I just come up and do this curved line. Now you can do it a little bit more angular in the middle if you'd like, and do a little bit of an angle there. And then for the foldover portions, this is going to change for sort of every rose that you do, and it just depends how you want it to look. But I'll do 3 little folded over portions there, and then I'm going to start back a little bit further back from the tip here and just work a curved line that comes down and follows the belly of our rose shape there. Now for the other side, I'm going to come out diagonally, again roughly from the center, with a slightly S-curved line, like so. And then I'm going to come out and around the back of my rose head here. And now that curved line is going to get turned into a fold over. So you can add in just these little bumps, these little curved lines that are going to make it sort of look like a fold over. For that back bit, I'm going to come out to a bit of a point before coming back. I think that's going to look good. And again, you can link that up with the outside of your rose bulb here. Now for this center portion, I'm going to follow this line around and into the center to create a little spiral, and then this front line is just going to trail down and behind my foldovers, and you can even add a little bit of texture to the outside of that line just by adding some curves. And now it's time to link it up, so we're going to start on this outside line, come down, same with the other side. And then I'm going to link in the middle and on the outer side there. So you can see we have this little spiral shape that goes into the center there, and that's going to make the middle of our rose. Now to make things a little more uniform, you've got this little gap here. I might just come around and add in this additional small petal towards the middle. That'll sort of line up nicely with the petal on the other side there. So that's essentially going to be the center of our rose. Now to rough out our petals, I'll start by just using oval shapes. I like to do a nice big petal underneath this. And I like to keep the ovals angular like so they come up and then cut back down as they come up the sides of our rose. Now you can sort of do as few or as many petals around here as you want. I like to do 5. I think 5 looks really good around the center of the rose there. But you can change it up depending on how you'd like it to look and how many petals you would like. And now you can texture the outside of your petals. So depending on how you like it to look, because this is more traditional style, more simple, I'll come out and do a peak towards the center and then back in, nice and simple like that. For these petals, you want them to drop back in. This will give you a slightly angled look. So you can draw a line where you want your peak to be. You can come up and curve slightly down with that peak, and then up and cut back down a little bit sort of sharply towards the rose, and that's going to give you this sort of angled petal. You're seeing it from sort of a side angle there. Again, you can texture these however you want. If you want to have a few bumps, or if you want to do like a pointed shape like what I'm doing here, you can play around with different shapes, and that's going to give you, a different style rose depending on how you want this to look. Sometimes I'll change it up, so I'll do a more curved shaped petal at the back here, and then more pointy sort of petals on the sides and on the front, almost like this is curving over and you can't see the pointed area, and that's going to give you your petal shapes. Now to do your leaves, I like to sort of do odd numbered leaves, so whether that's 3 or 5, it's up to you. But essentially you're going to start with these lines coming out. From the center point of your rose is where they need to start. I'm going to double up on them like so. And then at the very end of our line there, which is the leaf stem, I'm going to do this sort of spade shape, or this lemon shape like so. And then I'm going to come out from roughly past halfway, out and then back in with a little sketch line like this, just as a guide. And I like to make my leaves fairly fat. And then I'm going to come out and back in, all the way down, just like this. It's almost similar to how you would do a feather in a lot of ways. Now once you've done your main leaves, you can also throw in these little additional leaf shapes. These are just your sort of filling in leaves. I like to use these to fill in little gap areas and little spaces where I think it needs a little bit more. So you can throw in these additional leaf shapes that don't have any veins in the center, and you know, they're not as detailed, they're just these simple small leaves. Now to line this, we're going to open up a new layer, switch our color to black, and I'm going to go ahead and use a Sharpie brush because this is going to give me a nice thick and consistent line, which is pretty crucial when doing these traditional style designs, is not to have a varied line width. You want to sort of stick with the same line width across your whole design. Now if you are enjoying this video so far, please smash that like button. Helps other people know that this is a good video, and it helps the algorithm know to recommend this to people that might be interested in this type of content. If you do enjoy my content, make sure you hit that subscribe button so that you stay up to date when new videos come out. Now once you've done your line work, you can go ahead, turn off your sketch and duplicate your line work layer, working on the second layer. Now I'm going to go ahead and show you how to color this using the digital Spitshader, which is available on my website. There'll be a link in the description. However, you can follow along with the standard Procreate brushes as well if you'd like. First up, I'm going to go ahead and insert one of our textured papers. There's 12 different varieties here that are included with the digital Spitshader. In this case, I'm going to use a cold pressed extra rough stained paper. This is going to give us a nice watercolor look, and that's going to sit right over my canvas here. I'm going to put that at the very top, and I'm going to set it to multiply. This way our line work shows through. Now we're going to be working on that second base line work, and I'm going to be using the inking brush, which is included in the Flash Essentials pack, as well as the cold pressed feathering brush, which is also in the Flash Essentials, and we're going to set that on my smudging tool here. Now we're going to go ahead and use the automatic selection tool, and I'm going to select a petal to demonstrate this on. And now we can take our smudge brush, which is set to the cold pressed feather, and we can feather that edge out exactly the same way that we would if we were spit shading this. And you can see that that has a really nice, almost realistic spit shaded look. So essentially this is a toolkit to allow you to create realistically spit shaded designs as though you were doing this on real watercolor paper. So essentially I'm selecting areas that I'm going to shade, adding in my black, again the same way that I would lay it down with just a paintbrush. Then I'm taking my smudging tool, which would act as my blending brush, and I'm coming right along the edge to start blending that black out into the watercolor paper. And because we've got an overlay as well as the texture from the actual smudging brush, it looks like real watercolor inks. So you're going to go ahead and do that for all of the shaded sections of your design. For these small leaves, I like to shade about halfway like this and then blend out from there. Now for your main leaves, I like to just do a little bit of black on either side of that center vein, and then using that blending brush to spit shade that out to a nice grey. Now as for colouring your rose, what I like to do again is open up another line work layer, go to the layer just beneath it, and I'm going to set this layer to multiply. This way we can see through it, and you can switch your colour to whatever colour you're doing your rose. In this case I'm going to do it like an orangey yellow sort of colour, just for something different. And I'm going to go back to my inking brush, like so. And now we can use that direct selection tool. And once again, we're going to be working on using the same method here. I'm going to lay down my color, and you can see that because we've got this layer set to multiply, it's going to sit transparently over the top of my black shading. And now we can take our blending brush again, set to cold pressed feather. And we're going to feather out the edge of our color there. That's going to soften that harsh edge. And now we can come in from the outside of the petal, like so. And I'll feather that back toward the color that I just did. And that's going to give you this really nice little highlight streak around the outside of the petal there. Now another variation on this, for example on this petal, is going to be to color almost out to the edge and actually follow the shape of your petal a little bit, and then take your cold pressed feathering brush and feather that hard edge off. Now for doing your leaves, you're going to want to use a slightly blue-green. This is just going to help you get that traditional color palette, that traditional aesthetic. So I'm going to do this slightly blue-green color here to color my leaves. Now for the tip of all of my large leaves, I'm using a slightly desaturated red, and I'm just going to go in and solid fill those. We don't want to do any shading on those. And now when you're going to color in a leaf like this, you don't want to spit shade across the lines because that's going to muddy up your color. So to do these leaves, I'll open up a new layer underneath my colors, and I'll turn that to multiply as well. And now we're going to come in and just carefully color in the inside of that leaf. So here you've got to be a little bit more careful, and you can't really use that automatic selection tool to make your selections. And then as we get to the outside of the leaf, I can come in with my blending brush and just blend those colors out. That little bit of green, blending it out to the color of the page to get a soft sort of gradient. You're going to do that for all the areas of your leaf. Okay, now the very last thing we're going to do is add a little bit of additional staining to this one because it's looking a little bit light. You can go ahead and add a new layer, switch the layer to overlay mode, like so, and then using solid black is going to give you the darkest look. We're going to go with our staining ink brush here, and you can drop on a few areas. I would vary the size a little bit so that it looks different and random. And then we've got a second staining ink brush, which is more of a splatter brush, so you can go ahead and throw on a little bit of splatter, and this is starting to look really good. Now the most important thing is if you set it to multiply, your stains are actually going to be black, right, because you're using a black color. What overlay does is it replaces the color of whatever you're putting down with the color that's beneath it, and it simply takes the tonal value, so in this case it's black, a very dark tonal value, and puts it on top. So you can see these black marks on our petal. Once I set this to overlay mode, they are now a dark orange. They are whatever hue the black was, or whatever saturation the black was, but now it looks orange. And so this gives you a more realistic stained look, especially in combination with the background paper. And that, my friends, is how we draw a traditional style rose. I really hope you enjoyed today's video. If you want to check out the brushes that I used, they are available at daggettdesigns.com.au under the digital Spitshader. I'll leave a link in the description, and I'll see you guys next time. Alright, bye bye.